Hello and welcome to this edition of Community Voices Uganda on Civic Space TV. I am Phillip Muliisa. I am very happy to have all of you, my panel, but also our viewers, and thank you for keeping it Civic Space TV, where we come to share about matters we think are very critical, very important to this beautiful country here, so that we can progress in the right direction that we want to take this country to. My name is Phillip Muliisa, and this morning we are discussing a by-election. We had a by-election in Kawempe North. Very many things happened. As I speak, I have many colleagues in the journalism sector that are either in hospital, either at home but cannot go to work. Their media houses closed. There are many citizens out there who are wounded. There are many who are hospitalized. There are very many that have very many feelings about the same, but also we have another section of people that are very happy about the election, how it happened. We have winners in there. We have people that lost. We have people that have not accepted the outcomes, and very many reactions. And the reason we're here is to make an assessment of those particular observations and reactions and see how we move forward in a better and progressive way. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we get into the depth of the conversation, I'll ask you to briefly talk to us and greet us and the viewers, and we can get into the conversation a little later. I'll start with you, Mr. Mulindwa Walid Lubega. Greetings, you're welcome to the conversation. Mr. Lubega, you can hear me? Please unmute and say hello to the viewers.
Yes, good morning, our viewers and listeners. I'm very delighted to be invited on this civic space. First of all, on my own behalf and on behalf of the Forum for Democratic Change Party, that I have the privilege to speak for. I would like to appreciate Center for Constitutional Governance for offering us this civic space. And also I would like to thank you, Mr. Muliisa, and the entire crew for coming up with timely topics that touches the moral fiber of this country. Thank you very much. I also thank colleagues and panelists, and I expect a very intellectual discourse out of this kind of conversation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lubega Mulindwa. We're happy to have you, and we can't wait for what you have to share with us, especially as a spokesperson of the Forum for Democratic Change. We know that you had a candidate in there in the name of Mukibi Sadat, and want to tell us what the grounds were like and your reactions to the outcomes of the election. Thank you, Mr. Lubega. I want to hear from Mr. Ssemanda, Ibra, Wasswa. Greetings, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much, my brother Philip. I'm happy to join this discussion with colleagues on our panel. Yeah, I'm Wasswa Ssemanda Ibra, a member of the National Unity Platform, and I'm a leader. I'm a councillor. I represent the people of Kawaala at Lubaga Division, KCCA. Personally, I participated in the Kawempe North By-Election from nomination up to where we concluded. But many observations I used to observe in that process. When I get an opportunity, I'll be able to share the experience with other colleagues. But I'm happy to join colleagues like Walid, my senior brother from FDC, and other people. And I'm also happy for this space, the organizers of this conversation and platform, to see how we can shape our nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ssemanda Wasswa, National Unity Platform. He's a youth leader. He's a councillor representing the people of Kawaala and many things, and very active on the ground on behalf of the National Unity Platform. We're happy to have you here. Mr. Ronald Oluk from the Uganda Police Force. Ronald, greetings. Welcome to the conversation. Please unmute and talk to us.
Thank you so much, Philip. Thank you, colleagues, for being available to listen attentively and respond with time allows. I work for Uganda Police with a unit called the Professional Standards Unit. I am happy to be here. I look forward to discuss more further indulgence over this matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oluk from the Professional Standards Unit for joining us today, and we can't wait to hear what the standards of the Uganda Police Force are saying about what transpired in the Kawempe North by-election. And last but not least, Mr. Nimrod, Kakai, greetings, you welcome to the conversation.
Thank you, Muliisa. Good morning, colleagues. I hope I'm loud and clear.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. My name is Nimrod Kakai. I'm a disciple and a member of the NRM Youth League. It's always a pleasure to come on Civic Space. Very happy for the space. I'm happy for the Center for Constitutional Governance for giving us space to share our mind, to dialogue and speak our hearts. So I'm looking forward to a very wonderful conversation, and it's a very timely topic. I'm happy that we have wonderful panelists on this one, and I'm ready to make my contribution on what I saw and what I think that what lies ahead of the general elections for this country, which I think it is a concern for every right-minded citizen. So I'm happy to be here. I look forward to this wonderful conversation. Greetings.
Thank you so much, Kakai Nimrod from the National Resistance Movement, and we're happy to have you. And also the NRM had a candidate out there in the name of Nambi Farid, and you will share with us the experience, but also the reaction from the NRM Youth League to this particular by-election and the outcome. I want to start with you, Mr. Wasswa Ssemanda. You know, they keep telling us that history is written by the victors. So certainly I will pick from you first. To begin with, congratulations. Your party secured a win from this particular by-election. Talk to us about, briefly, I know it can be very wide, but briefly, in about 3-5 minutes, what were your key observations from ground, from the polling day, from the campaigns in the by-election? Yes, Mr. Ibra.
Thank you so much, my brother Phillip, and I want to recognize the presence of other panelists. Well, in early years, multi-party system were introduced in our country, whereby we used to know that political parties will be having space to practice leadership in our country. But what we have seen, it's just written on paper, but in reality, we don't have the political participation in our country. An election is not an event; it's a process whereby many activities are involved in that process. After the death of our brother, the late Honorable Mamadi Segirinya of Kawempe North Constituency, we all know what happened to him. He was in prison. He was hospitalized for some good time. They declare the Kawempe North slot. The Electoral Commission invited all the political parties, all the political players interested in that seat. Yeah, we had our internal process as NUP. We had our candidate, Honorable Rimbas Narukola. We participated. But if you remember, because we are living in the same country, we have a duty to shape our country. We have a duty to sow the seed of a new Uganda. All the players participated. But you remember what happened on the nomination day. Our candidate was violently arrested. Many of our supporters were arrested, were beaten. Remember what happened to journalists. But other political parties candidates were given space. They had processions, they had their rallies. So there's a problem, my brother. If you can see the violence happened in that election, you were journalist, my brother. As I speak now, many journalists are nursing wounds in different hospitals. Some of our leaders at the parliamentary level local government level are still in hospitals. Many of our comrades are still in cells, illegally detained, those cells. So the participation of security agencies, it's a bad state. But we all know, I've been telling our people that the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. They tried to league, despite the leaguing and violence contained these elections, the power of the people at last won that election, my brother. But before that, I want other panelists to agree with me. We need to build a country whereby, besides your political party, but we are building democracy in our country to allow political parties, to allow independents to participate, to do politics in a peaceful, democratic environment, my brother. Look at the way how journalists were mistreated. At least for me, I'm a politician, I'm an NUP. Of course, the police, the army, the judge can do all they can do for NUP members, but look how they mistreated the place people. They reached an extent whereby the media stopped covering what happened in Kawempe. I remember, personally, I saw what happened to NBS journalists, NTV journalists. As I speak now, yesterday, UCC blocked PAL FM. PAL FM is not on air just because of a mere by-election. So there's no an institution which is working. Yesterday, I was on a polling station. Every polling station was commanded by an RDC, yet an RDC was an agent to a certain candidate. But an RDC was commanding an election in the presence of the EC officials. You can imagine. So there is a lot of irregularities happened in Kawempe North by-elections. There are some polling stations whereby violence was occurred. I know what happened in Kawempe Mbogo. I know what happened in Kazangola. I know what happened in Mpererwe. So my brother, as we speak today, I might congratulate my brother Honorable Luimbazi Nalukola, but our country is in a bad state. If that the election we are going to have in 2026 is a problem, we must have a solution before reaching 2026.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wasswa Ssemanda Ibra, for that experience you share with us from the ground of Kawempe North, and indeed how your party, your candidate got to interact with the circumstances on ground. I want to hear from Mr. Mulindwa. Mr. Mulindwa, you had a candidate in this by-election. First of all, what do you have to say about the performance of your candidate, but to the entire scheme of things that happened in that particular by-election? Yes, Mr. Lubega.
First of all, I would like to congratulate the Honorable Elias Luimbazi Nalukola for having overwhelmingly been elected as the next member of Parliament for Kawempe North. I also, in the same vein, congratulate and thank Mr. Sadat Muchivi Kalifaganaga, our parliamentary flag bearer for Kawempe North, for flying the party flag in the Kawempe North by-election. Much as he wasn't elected as the MP, but the issues that the FDC amplified through him were hard. And I think next time, better. The reason why our candidate performed dismally, we believe the people of Kawempe North were looking at an opposition candidate. Kawempe North being an opposition stronghold. Usually, in opposition, the voters may zero on one strong candidate against the other. So, but for us as FDC, we are very happy with the results. At least NRM never took the day, because it will be a very big nightmare for us for NRM to take the day. But for as long as the NUP is in charge, also FDC is in charge, and we are very happy. We also congratulate our brothers. Mr. Ibra, thank you for the vigilance and the stewardship that you exude in the just concluded by-election. This by-election was occasioned by the death of the Honorable Muhammad Segiri, his so eternal peace. And we in the FDC, we view an election not as an event that occurred yesterday, but we view it as a process, a process leading to an event. So allow me to make my recount basing on the event, on the process. So the process started with Electoral Commission declaring the seat vacant. From there, Electoral Commission quietly processed the people who are to manage this exercise. The people to manage this exercise, I mean the polling presiding officers at each and every polling station. Kawempe North has about 197 polling stations. And the information about updates about Electoral Commission getting who to manage this exercise was the top secret between NRM and the Electoral Commission. Because we never had advertising this exercise as per the public service money. So the NRM, what we actually, our investigation informs us that most of the presiding officers were coming from outside the Kawempe North, which is not the norm, because always the presiding officers are the sons and daughters of those villages. But this time around, they were the National Resistance Movement district registrars. These people who sit in NRM offices were the one contracted to do this job. So ostensibly, it was to help NRM to rig this exercise. So rigging started from there. Then from there, we had harmonization meetings with the candidates, with the prospective candidates, the aspirants, because by then nominations had not started. But for us who attended, the party delegation that attended the harmonization meeting, the Electoral Commission, we realized that the Electoral Commission was totally not in charge of this exercise. They were actually fortuitous, if I'm to say that. What I'm talking about was actually exposed even yesterday, when the men in uniform and even paramilitary organs took charge of the by-election, were in charge. A case in point, in at Growers, why is the Growers? There is a polling station where the commissioner in charge of Uganda for Electoral Commission, that is Professor Simba Salikayunga, was wrapped up by security. So if they could wrap up, they could brutalize a person whom I say was the midwife of this election. What about Walid, who is an opposition, who is fighting to see that justice happen in the by-election? that we have a free and fair election. So all that showcases that the Electoral Commission was completely the best. It was completely out of touch with this very election. Then another observation was during the nomination day. I want to disagree with my brother Ibra, my good brother Ibra, who said that it was the NUP which received the harsh share of treatment from the state or from the police and the security organ. It's not true. We also, as FDC, we also received our own share. One, it is good that we have somebody from the police standard unit. It is we had a procession of our candidates from Kawempe, where we had our rally, the nation rally from Kawempe Kutano, that playground was destroyed, up to the nomination venue around the behind Akamwesi. And while en route to that venue, when we reached at around the Kawempe police station, because we came very well and we came very peacefully throughout our procession, not until when we reached Kawempe police station. Then police started beating our supporters. Even our cars were knocked. We had about 6 people who were arrested, who were led by Councilor Ngobi, one of our councillors. They were arrested and detained at Kawempe police station. They slept. They were beaten, tortured, and they were released the following day when a group of our leaders led by the Honorable African City and the party branch chairperson of Kawempe, Mr. Dalaus, went and processed their bond. And we had one of our supporters who was actually injured on the leg, the left side of the leg. Up to now, until today, is still getting treatment from Joel Medical Center in the Wasswa. Actually, I don't know whether he will move again. He will stand on his 2 legs again. But I can't tell many of our supporters who actually brutalized in the melee, in the scaffold, and they fled. We don't know even where they fled to, but people who are on site observed that. So even the nomination of our candidate took about 3 hours when they were taking ping pong. Even our file were confiscated and the rest. In the campaign, the campaign, I can't say that we had a good day. The campaign, the security, wherever we had the security, always surrounded the people. While people were moving out of the venue, were beaten. They will never allow the procession. And in our constitution, there is no any article that prohibits a political party or any candidate from conducting a procession. Because in our procession, just like I've said, when we left the nomination venue up to Kawempe police, it was peaceful. Nobody was harmed. But until police came in and disorganized the entire arrangement.
So in other words, what you are telling us, Mr. Walid, is that it is actually police that created the chaos in your camp.
Absolutely, but not only police. It was a combination of many political agencies. For example, like on the election day, we had a judge joined
terrorism police.
The terrorism or whatever. We had police. We had SFC. we had the red top, we had even this crime, whatever, from villages up to ISO. Viso, whatever, from they were ferried from as far as Masaka and brought to Kawempe North. We had even the stick-wielding Masitula men coming from the ghetto. You know, General Damulira, one of his assignments was to identify these young marijuana smoking youth from ghetto. Actually, they were incorporated into the force. They were working, but tracing the effort of the security organ.
Is that an allegation that can be confirmed?
No, it is not an allegation. A case in point when the leader of opposition went to Namere, to the residence of the RDC battle. The people who came to beat him and the people he came with were those people. They were masking themselves with the face mask, and they were not in uniform, because we know that we have been in the field and it is easy to identify. And even Brigadier Damulira, he has been boasting that he has actually settled those people, that he tried in mobilizing the ghetto youth, and those people are the ones who are used to terrorize the people who came to vote and vote. So as I conclude, what we saw members, we saw tankers, as if we were in a fully-fledged battlefield. I've never, because I've been to many by-elections, but I've never seen a by-election that is completely militarized like the one we had yesterday. So in my own view, and the view of FDC, even the votes, the results that we had could not really bring out the true expression of the people of Kawempe. Because assembling such troops that at every polling station, you had the Kanyamas, you had the Diso, the military, the whatever, the members. That means many people feared to go and cast their vote because they thought they could lose their lives, they could be brutalized in the process. So many people never came out. So
Mr.
I congratulate
Lubega.
the NUP, who are very vigilant to withstand that kind of intimidation, and they came in numbers and vote. But even last night, as I conclude, the tallying of the vote, you had the returning officer reading out the results. Nambi Farida getting 700 votes. Can you imagine on a polling station which has about 1,000 votes, 1,000 registered voters? In the history of this country, we have never had an election, not even a by-election, where voters, or about 700, can come and vote for one person in a polling station where there are about 1,000 voters. So until the NUP people and some of us who are in the talent center came and complained and said, no, the results were really incomplete. That's when the returning officer stopped counting the cooked results. And it explained the meeting that happened ensued thereafter. And from there, we had the returning officer cancelling 15 polling stations. That means the 15 polling stations had manufactured results that the returning officer was to announce. If we had given him the liberty to go on with that margin, I understand Nambi Farida would be the member of parliament elected by
Thank you so much, Mr. Mulindwa. Thank you. We are going to continue with that account a little later. Quite a lengthy bit of observations you make out there. Very many painful observations from the side of the FDC, but also generally from all the other sides. And it is things that need to be looked into carefully, but also we find, like Wasswa told us, solutions before we get into the 2026 general elections. I want to pick from Nimrod here. Nimrod, the National Resistance Movement had a candidate in this election, and when you listen to all these people, they keep saying the opposition was being battered, were being arrested, were being not allowed to do what they had to do. What was the experience of the National Resistance Movement? And in any case, are you happy about the result of the election? Yes, Nimrod.
Thank you so much. It is very interesting to listen to my senior colleagues here, my friends, on the wonderful observations towards this just concluded by election.
Mm-hmm.
I want to congratulate this government in a way that when it took over power, it made it clear that one of the 4 pillars we stand on, one of them is democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And in democracy, there is a process. And this process, there is growth. I'm very happy that we have steered this country to growth of democracy. There was a time when this country, elections could not happen for so many years. We all know that history. So I'm happy that now members can come, express interest, and wananchi turn up and make a decision on who they want to lead them. So I congratulate the Councilor Rukola and his team for coming out as winners of this election. But also I congratulate the National Resistance Movement team for working hard and speaking our heart and running support. I congratulate our big sister, Nambi Farida, for standing strong. There was a lot of intimidation, a lot of frustration, and it was not easy. I was in the campaign a little, I was in the Tally Center a little, NRM Tally Center a little, and I saw what happened. So I thank her for standing strong and campaigning for what she stands for. But getting back to observations of how the process went towards the event of yesterday, I think I first of all condemn in the highest manner possible the brutality of security officers that happened on the nomination day. I think also on the first day of official campaigns, and also some few areas yesterday on journalists. I condemn, I think it's not called for, in my honest opinion, that it's not correct to attack innocent wananchi who are in their process of exercising their rights, to start, disturbing their peace. But I also want to make this categorically clear. When you observe few clips, for example, starting on the day of official campaign, you find that these security officers also provoked by people who want to attack them. There was a harmonized program avoiding the rallies on the roads so that business can continue thriving. Our colleagues wanted to move in the streets and make these rallies in the streets. And the police is saying, simple, go straight to the war grounds. And as I can assure you, we observed clearly that no ground, that this is a campaign ground, a rally on a designated venue was disturbed. Everyone who turned up was given protection, and after they dispersed in a peaceful way.
Maybe Nimrod, if you allow me on that particular issue, to begin with, the very last point. On the last day of campaigns, when President Yoweri Museveni was in Kawempe North and saw the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu and his team, you and I are aware that the team from the National Unity Platform was denied access to their designated area of campaign. You are aware of that. But two, we have also seen police on the roads, but also on campaign grounds designated, arresting people, beating people here and there, and including on the polling day, we saw, you mentioned journalists being beaten. I don't think there was a confrontation between a journalist and a police officer. It is just police officers that chose to make sure they are not recorded or captured in any manner at the polling station on the road, at the campaign trail, and so on. Is that something to justify Nimrod?
Thank you. Like I started, I made it clear that I condemn the brutality, but I wanted us to put it into context here. For example, the issue of denying the NUP candidate to be on his designated venue on the last day of the campaign. You see, we must ourselves. When you know the confrontation of supporters, you see, the security does what we call a threat assessment of the problem in the area. When the threat is in an area, his team of security comes and does what's the threat of security here. And when they assess that having the two candidates, not even the candidates, the supporters of the two candidates, in one area, that can lead to confrontation, which can become a very big problem. They advise for good of the country, for the good of the people of Kawempe, kindly stay in Kawempe, but move to even a bigger and better venue. They had gone even to a smaller venue. They said, go to a bigger, better venue to protect you, but most important, to ensure that all our supporters are peaceful and are protected. So it was for the good of the campaign. I don't think it's because they wanted to protect anything, but they wanted to ensure that
the word you use is context. And when you say context, this is an electoral context where the Electoral Commission very well knew that both these individuals will be in this particular location. But two, there was enough time for these people, if they thought this assessment would come out this way, then certainly they would have had this assessment done earlier and make sure communications are done quite before these things happen, not waiting for the actual day to have these people changed from these particular locations. What's your thought?
Yes, I agree that I think the miscommunication is something we should not blush off. I think, in my opinion, the Electoral Commission had a duty to work with security on time to ensure that such communications are done like maybe a day before, not on the very morning. There I agree with the listeners and the viewers that it was good to communicate earlier to avoid such confrontations on the last minute. So my opinion on that is next time, I think security and the Electoral Commission must liaise on time. In case of such a threat of security in an area, they can communicate. But what I want us to make it clear is that it is very okay to reschedule that, because this is an election. A lot of things happen every now and then. We cannot be static. We are human beings. We cannot be static in that since we said here it must. No. What's on ground? What if it was a natural disaster? We do it so static because the natural disaster is happening. We cannot do that. So if the assessment could be done earlier, I think that's okay. So continuing my observations, that security did a very wonderful job in certain areas. I'm sure you also saw videos where police was escorting our colleagues in position and directing them where to go. We must give them credit. The errant few people who brutalize people, they cannot define the whole security work they did. They are officers who never slept to ensure that we'll have a clean and fair election happening. We must credit those security forces that ensure that wananchi were protected. I'm sure you all know that on the voting day, if Nimrod voted, he was never touched or brutalized. The only people that they started attacking or arresting, there must be a reason. And we demand that the security comes out clearly, publicly, with a statement to show the country why so and so was arrested. And if there's a case for them to answer, they appear in court on time so that they answer their charges. But
did the NRM experience any challenges in these campaigns?
Yes, intimidation was of the highest order. You see,
from whom?
What we went through in that campaign, because we're on the side of government, people think we're not intimidated. The people from opposition could make it clear to us, we're going to beat you also when we find you. I have friends, I have colleagues in the opposition, they could alert us that we are going to be you, we are going to fight you, we are going to deal with you as us, which I think is not correct, because me, as a Nimrod, who chose to believe in this ideology, it's not a crime. So in this campaign, the biggest problem we faced was intimidation by our friends in the opposition, who chose to see that for them they should intimidate us and even intimidated our voters to turn up. I believe that Honorable Nambi could have scored more than 8,000 votes. But also they were intimidated of the violence that was orchestrated by our colleagues from the other side, telling people. So I think it was a very big problem on our side. And also to hear from our colleagues saying that, NRM wanted to rig, the stations were manned by RDCs and security forces. I mean, then what would have stopped them from rigging if that was the intention? The intention was to ensure that we have a peaceful election. All the deployments that were done was to ensure that we have a peaceful election. If the intention was to rig, then we could have done that. But how? How do you say we deployed in every station 2 RDCs and they failed to rig? If they wanted, that can't be possible. The intention was to coordinate security, to ensure that people in Kawempe can go through this by-election peacefully, so that as we head to 2026 general elections, we can give assurity, we can give confidence, we can send a message of hope to all Ugandans that turn up, participate in the electoral process. The government that you trusted with power is here to protect you. And I can assure you, if you have not done anything wrong, there's no day this government will look for you. It will just look for you to make sure that you are protected. So I think it is very important that our colleagues recognizes that the reason security was too much in Kawempe is because they continue to rate violence, they spread the message of hate, the message of disunity, the message that doesn't bring Ugandans together, the message of intimidation. So I think the security did a very wonderful job to ensure that we finish an election when Wananchi can do their businesses today freely and safely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nimrod, for that observation and conversation about the experience of the national resistance movement from Kawempe North, and very powerful. You gave a submission. I know Wasswa here and Walid will have a response to some of the things you talk about in there, but we get to them a little later. You are still on Community Voices Uganda on Civic Space TV, and we're discussing the Kawempe North by-election. And on this episode, I have Nimrod Kakai from the NRM, Wasswa Ibra Ssemanda from the National Unity Platform, Mulindwa Walid Lubega from the Forum for Democratic Change, and Joan from the Alliance for National Transformation, and Afande Ronald Oluk. Afande, I come to you. You have listened to almost to all of them here, and one thing that is a constant is that security was not behaving so well to the people, to journalists. I am a journalist, and I know I have colleagues. Even this morning, I visited some of them that are still hospitalized, and they are in very, very serious pain. They lost their equipment. Very many people are wounded, but everything did not come out so well from the side of security. And you are from the Professional Standards Unit. I should not ask you why they behaved that way, but what can be done to the officers that behaved that way so that we do not get a redo of the same like we saw in Kawempe North? Yes, Afande Ronald.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, panelists. Good morning once again. I want to congratulate the MP-elect for Kawempe. As well, I want to congratulate the participants, those who are ably came out amongst the very many and they decided to contest. I am not a politician, but I can tell you that I follow politics because this is where leadership. I'll bring to your attention that all participants are agreeing that there was issues of violence, there were issues of threats, intimidation, and some electoral crimes could have happened during these processes of electing our leaders. As a person in Professional Standards Unit in Uganda Police, I'm not going to speak for the Uganda Police, but I'm going to speak at my capacity as someone who looks into how officers conduct themselves while executing their usual duties. You're very well much aware that the law gives us the mandate under Article 212 to protect life and property. And he went ahead and they arm us with the guns and other tools which will enable us to execute those duties. Protecting life of a group of people who are doing their own business, not mind about whatever procession you are having, is very difficult. It's very challenging that you don't anticipate who is going to be injured, who is going to be harmed. So that's why sometimes police come to guide these electoral processes, so that our voters, our youth who are so much having enthusiasms about our politics do not go astray. We happen to also give, when the Electoral Commission gives us the roadmap, we study, we share, we be with the actors all together, and we agree on how we are going to proceed. So if the other actors do the otherwise on how we have agreed, and they do the otherwise, I think that amounts to what we call disobedience of lawful orders. That's why you see some of maybe these people are picked, one or the other. I don't want to justify arrest on those days, but I want to bring to your attention that as Professional Standards Unit, I want to open doors to those who do not know that there's a unit that was formed in 2007 and is very active. If an officer has done an act or has omitted to do his duty the way he is required by the law under 212, does not do so, I think that person should be held accountable. We know that they will be held liable for whatever actions they do, which is beyond the powers which have been given to us. So the doors are open for whoever feels aggrieved about the professional conduct of the officers during this electoral time. The doors are open for you to lodge your complaint, and it will be looked into as a unit. That one I can assure you. I know of election times where very many political figures come to our offices and register violence and other omissions that the police officers have not done during that time. So,
Ronald, if you allow me, look, to begin with, we understand the police forces are one that keeps law and order, and in doing that, they undertake things like investigations, things like arrests, things like many other things. But in this particular issue, and it's good you mentioned in your introduction that you're no politician, but you follow politics quite closely. Which should we imagine that police is now launching, and from the department you come from, is launching an investigation into what actually happened throughout the entire by-election, and in a not so long time from now, we shall see something being done in terms of bringing to book and having to either punish or promote officers that behaved well and badly this particular by-election?
First and foremost, panelists and listeners, get me right. There is no any investigation which will start without the victim, the so-called injured person. The so-called injured person must come out. And that person is the one we invite personally to come to us. Then we interface with this person. We shall have knowledge that truly this happened. The injured person is a first point that we start our investigations from. The other areas, we just collect the information which is readily available to us. You know that the information which the media has brought it very clearly to us. We have all seen it in the media. So whoever comes out and asserts that so and so did A, B, C, and D, it makes it very clear for us to also relate with what we have seen by ourselves as people who have followed this matter. We have not been closing our eyes also. We have been watching things unfold. But who has ever come out? I can tell you that I have not yet seen anyone coming out to tell us, to report to us about this misconduct. If that happens, we are very ready to investigate the matter and come out with a very clear report on each position.
Lastly, Afande, when you say that there cannot be investigation or arrest made without a victim, when you look at sticking to the by-election and what happened, we saw journalists being arrested by police. We saw politicians, the colleagues here have mentioned that their candidates were arrested, some of their councillors and supporters were arrested. Who had been the complainant in the investigation and arrests of those particular people, specifically the journalists? Who had they harmed?
For the arrest of the journalists, that's why I'm saying I'm not going to speak for whoever conducted the arrest. I am not the Uganda police spokesperson. For those questions are very good for him. But I can relate to you that whoever made a complaint must be the person who is in command. When you're in command and a crime has happened before you, that person can pick you and take action himself. So whoever has arrested you or whoever was in charge of that operation is the one who becomes the complaint. You get the point? So if I am a rank of assistant commissioner of police, I am a head of that operation and crime has happened. Even if it's a constable who goes ahead and caused that arrest, the action is taken in the name of the assistant commissioner. Whoever is in charge takes precedence.
Well, thank you so much, Afande, for that clarification, and we'll continue to probe into everything that happened and see how it shall continue to unfold. I want to speak to Joan Butuuke from the Alliance for National Transformation. I understand the Alliance was in support of the candidate from the National Unity Platform. Joan, quick observations you made from the by-election and what's the reaction of the Alliance? Yes, Joan.
Okay, Joan from the Alliance, but we did it broad daylight. We were behind no candidate, and we really congratulate him for winning the election. And we caution him to act now. Let him act, let him continue from where the late stopped and give joy to people of Kawempe. My observation, though, as we all saw, it wasn't really good from arresting journalists, ladies, and when it comes to ladies, it is really so over and over again that they cannot control themselves. And to the police, really, it really continues to disappoint Ugandans. When we were in school those days back then, teachers used to tell us that police has to protect. We all know the duties of police, but it is not doing its work. It is really shaming. What happened in Kawempe, I assure you, it's the same thing that is going to happen in 2026. Shame on NRM, shame on police. It's really, really bad. My observation wasn't good at all, though it was expected. These things repeatedly happen, and we really don't know what we are going to do, I would say. Because even when we talk, even when people demonstrate, things don't change. We are disappointed. We are really
Thank you so much, Joan. I don't know,
That's
you heard from
Yes,
Officer Ronald here, and it's a general comment from the Uganda Police Force, from the UPDF, and many other sister security agencies. They keep saying that their actions are as a result of the actions of the people on the other side, politicians, say journalists, and every other person they interact with. It is them that initiate and call for their reaction. What's your thought on that? Is it true that police is forced to act the way it acts because of the actions of the politicians on ground?
Actually, it is the police that starts that. Because when you bring all guns in people, you bring jat, you bring all sorts of, I don't know, activities at war. It is you starting. It is you starting this in the people. Don't bring police and you saw that people will get that fear. You know, when you fear, you can easily do a mistake. So it is police that initiates this. I would say it is not that people always, because there is no need. There is no need of you just a by-election and you're bringing. I stay in Mukono, for example, but yesterday, this second road where I stay nearby, you would see trucks that I have even never seen. I don't know whether police uses this time to showcase what they have in stock. Only that brings torture. So imagine you're torturing someone and you think they will not, fight back. Even when they fight, I would say it is police that starts this. If you need peace, really, you don't have to go beyond. Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Joan Butuuke. What you saw was not so nice, and what you say, shame on whoever did bad to the people that participated in the by-election. And well, doesn't sound good. I want to come back to Wasswa here. I know you have a couple of reactions, but as we get into the reactions to some of the comments that have been made, I also want to pick on what you think are the solutions that can be implemented in this particular country to avoid the redo of the same that we've seen not good in the Kawempe by-election. Yes, Mr. Ssemanda, quite briefly.
Thank you so much, my brother. I want to appreciate everyone's contribution to this conversation. I'm somehow disappointed the way how my brother from Henalem have been trying to protect, to defend the security forces that the NUP supporters try to provoke the police. I don't know. If I might ask my brother Nimrod, did even the journalists provoked the security forces intentionally for to talk about that? Brother, we are talking this, for some of us we are on ground. We used to saw what happened. Some of our brothers are still in hospitals. Some are still in cells. People were arrested. People are nursing wounds. Journalists. My brother Phillip, you are a journalist. If you used to know what happened to fellow journalists, there's a problem, my brother. Two, the issue of tallying votes, it was a big issue. My brother Wali talked about it. They are bringing votes from nowhere. We complained about it. So yesterday, Electoral Commission was not in charge. Even the police, my brother from police, even police was not in charge. What was JAT doing in Kawempe North by-election? What was SFC doing in Kawempe by-elections? Even the police was commanded by the RDCs. So the culture of police being partisan must stop. They must do their mandate as elaborated in the Constitution. But our brothers in police, they are trying to do all they can do to see that they protect this government in power, which is wrong. They must be in the position to welcome everyone in leadership. But what happened in Kawempe, even the police itself was not in charge. There was JAT, there was SFC, there was military abducting our people. It's very unfortunate in this century, whereby we still have cases of abductions, people putting on masks on their faces. If you're a police officer, Why do you put a mask on your face? Why do you abduct people? So my brother, we're talking this without of pain. There's a problem in our country. We must have free and fair elections in this country. But it's like it's impossible at this extent. That's why as NUP, we came up with a protest vote. We know what is going to happen in 2026, but we shall do the same way. We're going to this election as a platform which can cause change in this country. Because we had Chigundu as the chairperson electoral commission. Of course, Biabakama doing the same mistakes like Chigundu did. So Ugandans are now losing trust, losing hope in electoral commission, like they did in police and other security forces. So my brother in NRM, my brother in police, we have one country. We don't have any other country. We must build a country whereby our sons and granddaughters and grandsons will live in. So it's very unfortunate, my brother. We must be here celebrating for our victory. But since morning, I've been visiting different police stations, checking on our brothers. We've been visiting hospitals, checking our people. So, as I conclude, my brother,
I also want to react.
Like my brother Walid said, elections in Uganda, we must build a culture whereby people, their powers in voting their leaders must be the same power. Police must protect that same power to see that we have a free and fair election in a democratic environment. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wasswa Ssemanda, for that. And it's quite good that you've mentioned some of that happened, but also what can be done. I want to pick from you, Mr. Lubega, reactions to some of the comments, but also what you think should be done to make sure we have a better and progressive country when the democratic and civic processes, we make sure we have peaceful activity, and indeed we get the leaders that we desire to have in this country. Yes, Mr. Lubega.
As Lubega cannot hear you, I can respond if you allow me, my boss.
Hello?
Yes, Lubega, please. I know you would want to react to some of the comments made, but also give us a way forward quite briefly in terms of having us make sure what we do goes on peacefully and very calmly. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the colleagues who have added their voice on this matter. Comrade Nimrod, although we disagree, but I thank you. First of all, I think what needs to be done is the detachment of security from elections. As I mentioned earlier, that in the Kawempe North By-Election, the security organs took over the responsibility of the Electoral Commission. And I have been to Ghana, I've been to Malawi, I've actually attended, I've observed the elections in those countries. The NPP, when it was in power, when it was fighting to get the second term under Nana Akufo, and then in Malawi, under the Malawi Congress Party of Dr. Chakwera. In those countries, the Electoral Commission is the one which commands the police and other security organs. Actually, within the Electoral Commission, there is the Department for Security that summons security at will. But in our case, it is the security that summons the Electoral Commission and directs the Electoral Commission on what to do. So we in the FDC we believe, actually it is one of the electoral reforms that we were clamoring to get in Parliament, to come up with a legislation that provide for the principle of the police and security organs, where they start and where they stop, to empower the Electoral Commission to be in charge completely, such that we have a free, fair, verifiable election. Other than that, we are going to have an election where police is the one which orders, because as we saw yesterday, police and other security organs were arresting people and so on. But at the end of the day, even the security organs are not united in the way they execute their mandate, because we have many command centers, many power centers within the security, the JAT, the military, the editor, police. At the end of the day, you may see them, each organ executing orders which are different from the other. You can follow the voting pattern. I was following the voting pattern of Kanyanya police station, where majority of the police and the families of the police vote from that station. The NUP candidate won overwhelmingly. They voted out the NRA, meaning that even the police, much as we may heap a lot of blame on police, they are held in captivity. They are being forced to do things that are really beyond what they believe it is professional. So that's why they voted against the regime, the regime candidate in the Tanzania police station. If you follow the results on that very police station, just like my brother Ibra said, if the police was really
Yes,
not
please,
in charge,
quite briefly as you
the
conclude,
people who
sir.
are in charge, the people who are in charge were the other police organ, the security organ. As I conclude the issue of the media, the role of the media is to showcase what is happening. I don't think it is really ordinate for us, ordinate for the regime to come and vent their anger on the media for showcasing what is done in field. Yesterday I was on a TV panel, one of the TV towns, and the NRM apologists on that TV panel were blaming the media for relaying live coverage. I was wondering how live coverage has become a crime that the police do not want, sorry, the regime do not want to showcase what is happening in the field. They want to do all the brutality, whatever, without being showcased on camera. And so we need to come up with we leave the media to do their work. We don't need to brutalize them. And this government, especially the police, you owe us an apology. You owe the country an apology for what happened yesterday. Not only an apology, we need to see justice being exercised. We need to see the people, the persons that were behind the brutality. Because the police, you have the police standard unit where you discipline errant police officers. We need to see that the police is working. The police officers who are errant yesterday, we need to see them being punished. That is the only way we shall get assurance that the institution of the police is really working and is really not working within the whims of the regime.
Thank you, Mr. Lubega, for that, and hopefully the police force gets to pull up to that level and they serve this country the way everyone thinks they should be served. Yes, Mr. Ronald, you had a reaction to make, but also going forward, how do we, starting from the professional standards unit and going forward, how do we harmonize this to see that we have consensus and good progress as a people in especially the civic activities in the country?
Thank you so much, Chief. I was listening to the participants bash a police officer so much. But I'll not tell you, I'm not going to be ashamed. I'm not going to be ashamed as Oluk Ronald. For the record, I am a police officer of Uganda, wearing the badge of Uganda, and I swore an oath to the government of Uganda. So I can assure you that I thought I started by saying that our doors as professional standards unit is very open to the victims. I made that one very clear. So whoever is visiting injured people in the hospitals, please, you know where our offices are. Lead those people to where our offices are. As a public office for everyone, without any political background. We don't just say you have come with colors and we are chasing you from our office. No, that's not it. So I can assure you that me as Oluk, I condemn the violence that was wielded on the journalists, the fourth arm of government. I condemn that one with utmost annoyance. So there's no one who would do that. If you see my profile picture right now, you'll see a police officer carrying someone who is injured. Now, this is the only police officer I have seen him like my hero. Someone who is, he's carrying a gun, someone was injured, and he was carrying this man trying to, that is the policeman I am applauding tomorrow. I want to see this officer and even reward him. That's the officer. But if you are the one with the, who is being pointed as violent, no. I won't give you my round of applause, my brother. As Oluk Ronald, I will not give you on that. So I encourage those people who are injured to come forth, to come forward. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. So as a way forward, violence should not be the way how we conduct our electoral processes. The actors, the parties in these processes are the ones you can hear from themselves telling you that we were threatened by NUP, we were threatened by NRM, we are threatened by presence of police. You know that police is there to protect you. Why should you be threatened by them being around you during electoral processes? I remember we ensured that each polling station, each polling station was manned by a superintendent of police, a superintendent of police. You can imagine how we made sure we deployed the most available officers of high esteem. So we cannot go and start bashing police when you really don't know what you have done. So let me ask you, gentlemen, you in NUP tomorrow, haven't you heard me congratulating your honorable MP? I'll call him my honorable MP until otherwise. Tomorrow, if your president becomes, you want to take over power, you mean you will chase me away from police? I will still be your police. I will still be your police. I will not be a police for anyone. I will be the police for whoever is in government. You get the point? So I am a police for the government. I protect the government which is in power, because that is my mandate, to protect the government which is in power, because the people that have elected this government are the one who spoke and elected this government. The people are the one who have the power. The people of Kawempe spoke and elected him. So can you mobilize and let the people speak? The people are the ones who speak. The people of Kawempe spoke. The people of Uganda spoke that this government be in charge. You get the point? So that is how the mandate of police works. If you look at our past history, every government in charge were in charge of security. Every government in power was in charge of security. You can't be government when you're not in charge of your security officers. So that's how it is. When you play your politics, but you don't bring violence to each other. When you bring violence to each other and we get the information, the intelligence, we act, we come. That's when we deploy. We deploy according to how we have weighed the violence. If that's the violence, we have weighed it to be so much big that was going to happen. That's the manpower we deploy. So that one does not erupt. That's why we had a peaceful election. And it went on. Whoever were beaten and done, I don't know of how many deaths we've had. If you correct me, during that period, how many people died. But if for the injuries, people are now in hospitals, later on people should report. Now, there is what we call individual liability. Every person is going to be individually liable. Individual liability. You get? It does not go to every police officer. I sit in standards unit here. I'm not in the action field there. But if I was in the action field, I could have also done that. I could have also done the same. Because I could have been provoked to the extreme. To the extreme. What the police is telling you, use the other side. When you say, we are passing. Use the other side. We are passing. You mean you cannot obey a police officer who tells you to go the other side when he's guiding you on how to proceed? That is disobedience of lawful orders. Now, in the midst of that, the magistrates, the journalists are there recording, but the whips will not select. The whips will not select. Now that it has landed on you, I really don't love it for you to be injured. But if you have been injured, you have what we call a cause of action. Whichever angle of the law you choose, whether to go criminal or to go civil, from the legal perspective of it, and you hold someone accountable for the injury caused to you. I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Afande Ronald Oluk, for that submission, and quite a powerful submission, I should say. We are joined by the Honorable Frank Kabuye, Honorable Member of Parliament for Kassanda South, NUP, and I'll give him a chance to give us his reactions and interactions. But I want to first speak from Nimrod. Nimrod, you had that. How do we move forward? Quite briefly.
Yes, thank you. I've heard our colleagues, and I want to retaliate my words that we have one Uganda that we all belong to. As from the resistance movement, we pray that we can restrain ourselves from all angles. As we condemn the brutality from the forces, we must also condemn the provocation from our people. These are people that have a constitutional right to protect you. Don't provoke them. If you know that you're a journalist and you're being guided, follow. You're not immune to these whips. You're not vaccinated. So if you know that you can do something that can put you in danger, don't do it. Like I saw some journalists saying that there's no story that's bigger than your life. So I think it is important that we know our boundaries when it comes to security agencies. Yes, they're here to protect us with our properties, but also human beings. They lose temper, they have emotions. When they guide us, just listen. Secondly, I think it is a time that we stand as a country and call for unity. Politics come and go. Today we had an election, tomorrow we don't have it. The people of Kawempe, the 8,000 that voted in Nambi, the 70,000 that voted in UP, the 32 that voted in Sereko, are all in Kawempe. They're all in Kawempe. How are they going to survive moving forward? So we must speak with the same language. Let's stop speaking about intimidation. Let's stop giving, sending a message of attack. Let's speak a message of hope. Let's stand as a family. Let's stand as a country. Let's build this democracy. Like I was saying, that democracy has stages, and we are still on the journey of growing as a country. We must give credit that this government has enabled us to exercise some freedoms. Can we concentrate on advocating for more and for better? Like I said,
maybe if you allow me, just briefly, as again, as you get your conclusion, when you say we should give credit that this government has given us a chance to exercise some bit of freedom, Is that a privilege or it's a duty it must do?
For you to understand well, you may have to revisit the Great Lakes region and you check on what's happening. You see, it's like a family. You have a father in the house who is meant to make sure that you have food and clothing on your table. As you're right, but me and you, and also the panelists here, know that there are families where fathers have abandoned their children. They're not giving food and clothes and education. But this is the right of these children. So as much as it is our right to have freedom, but we know that there are so many countries that don't exercise it. So we must never take it for granted that we have this kind of freedom just because it's a privilege. It's because of there's a team that sat and said this country deserves this. We must give them credit for giving us that. Because there was a choice for them not to do it. There are countries today that cannot talk about it. We all know this. So even if you take it as a privilege, it is quite to be conscious enough that there's people who sacrifice day and night to ensure that we enjoy these freedoms. We know very well that in electoral regimes, in some countries, freedom of expression is not there. These debates cannot, even in our neighboring countries, I don't want to name it here. You know, there's no this kind of debate. There's no kind of freedom. They sit and decide and appoint this kind of leaders. But here we are. We went to the field, we campaigned, we spoke to the people. People made the choice. The government protected them. Today we are here talking about them, jubilating and celebrating. So it is important that we remind our viewers that it's as a privilege, but there are people who are trying to enjoy that privilege. They deserve the credit. I think you agree with me. So lastly, as we head for 2026, you are talking. I think we important to talk about what can be done better. What can be done better? One is for us to agree that you have one country under. The leaders come and leaders go. When you have an opportunity to provide leadership and serve the people, do it in your best. If you're a police officer, you are mandated to protect wananchi. Do your duty. Protect wananchi. Don't brutalize them. If you are electoral commission, you're in charge of ensuring we have a free and fair election. Do that. If you are a candidate or a political party, be peaceful, to be mindful, to spread unity. Do that. I'm sure when we do that, we're going to have the Uganda that we are all happy for, a Uganda that we enjoy, and a Uganda that makes us proud. So I think it's important that we choose a line of working together as Ugandans, regardless of our political divide. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nimrod Kakai from the National Resistance Movement, and you give really important points there to take note of. Joan, from the perspective of the Alliance for National Transformation, how do you see us moving forward, and what kind of picture do you see unfolding for 2026? Yes, Joan, quite briefly.
2026 is not going to be any different from what we have seen over the years. But I'll jump to the solution bit so that we can achieve in 2026. This government has to change. We've had our friend from the police talk. How I wish they talk and do, how I wish they talk and walk that talk at the same time, rather than saying otherwise and doing the opposite. I think this police should go back to the drawing board and be ethical. Let it do the right thing. They shouldn't say, maybe we've been ordered to do this, order. Let that not work. Let them be ethical. They know what they are supposed to do. If they do what they are supposed to do rightly, trust me, we are going to have a good Uganda, a Uganda that is united, a Uganda that is peaceful, a Uganda that is going to make us all proud. We should work as a team. Yesterday, I saw an election observer on TV broadly saying that the election went on well, but it did not go on well. So what am I saying that we should work as a team to achieve? If you're an observer, observe and say what you observe, because it is not only you observing. The world is watching, Ugandans are watching. Our parents, our mothers, our children are watching. So we should work as a team and produce what we are supposed to produce. Don't, maybe because you're getting a salary, you know, and you're acting otherwise because you need to protect your job. That shouldn't work for us to achieve. Let us do the right thing as Ugandans. We should follow the law. We should follow the constitution if we are to achieve. For 2026, if we don't change, as we have not changed from 20s, I remember from 2016, things have not changed. Things are becoming worse. Why? Because we are not learning from our mistakes. We are not changing. If we don't follow the law, we don't follow the constitution, and if we don't choose the right leaders, we are going to repeat these conversations here and nothing's going to be done. Let us choose right leaders. Let us actually, from my perspective, for 2026 to be better, I think we should really come up with a solution, and we should change government. Yeah, government has to be changed because institutions are not working. They'll come here and talk, but institutions have failed completely. And my dear, nothing's going to change soon if we don't change our leaders, because leaders have failed us. Have you ever had a case? I'll not say maybe in this department or the other department. It can also be private institution. You have a case, but no one is there to help. These people occupying these offices are doing otherwise. It is going back to us Ugandans. Let us have a third eye. Let us choose the right people for a better Uganda. I submit.
Thank you so much, Joan. And what I missed from your submission is I thought you were going to tell me who, for example, that leader is at the presidency, maybe who that leader is at Parliament and so on, but I'll pick that a little later or in another conversation. Thank you so much. And I want to invite the Honorable Frank Kabuye, MP Kassanda South, to talk to us. Honorable, you're going to have a marathon of submissions here. Firstly, a quick observation from what you saw on ground. I saw you on ground in Kawempe North. What did you observe from out there? But also the things that did not go well, how can we have them resolved at the level of, first of all, the citizens, the level of police, the level of parliament, and indeed wholesome as a country? How do we address those things that did not work out well so that we have a better progressive country? I'll give you about 10 minutes to take us through all that as we move with our conversation. Yes, Honorable, you're most welcome.
Hello, hope you can hear me, Phil.
Yes, I do hear you.
It's a good morning to you all. I'm glad to be here and to be talking to you this morning. I want to first apologize about the early engagements that I knew the time we had to join this conversation was a bit early, and I communicated that I might be able to join in, but it will be late. First, I want to congratulate and thank God that we managed to get the victory from Kawempe. Kawempe is one place that has been a test to Ugandans and to Uganda as a country, to test our democracy and to test our institutions. I want to thank every good and positive submission that was real to the occasion that transpired during from nomination up to yesterday after declaration. I know I missed a lot of insights and a lot of conversations here from people who could speak out their mind, but also speak the. Fortunately, I came and I came and landed when I think it is one of the security officers, Ronald, Oluk, was submitting. And one thing caught my attention in his submission before I go into what we have to speak about or how we observed yesterday's elections. One thing caught my mind when he said, as a police officer, I'm meant to protect government. I'm meant to protect government. So I was like, now when did that become our cardinal role? Or when did that become the major role of police? Because we think police is meant to protect the people, to protect their property, and also to ensure that there is law and order in the society. So when you say you're protecting government, that means you've gone partisan. And now you have a side where you're going. And also, we have been talking about this. I've had the narrative that is being created of late that there's provocation, maybe the people are provoking the police. Now the journalists are provoking police. I heard him say, how can you resist when the policeman is guiding you? You know, media or journalists have a right and freedom to press and expression, and they cannot be guided on how they should report or capture what they are reporting at any time. We have seen media or journalists or at war when they're at the front line, but they don't guide them. Don't go this side, don't go this. But they are respected either side, whether it is the rebel side or the government side. They respect what is called journalist or a journalist. They respect media because they know these people have a universal right that everywhere you go, as long as you're introduced as a journalist, there is some freedom that you observe, which might not be even the same. A policeman can move from Uganda and go to any foreign country, and they will not be given the same rights as it is for someone who did journalism. And when you go with your card to prove your profession. So I was a bit concerned when I saw his submission, and when of course, I have heard about him. He's someone who did some. He's not like any other policeman who they just get maybe from the local stations. Someone who has gone through LDC and did a diploma in law, and someone expected at least to even try to cover up like the bosses do. You could have just spoke to cover up, but they go and do what they do because they have spoken a lot, just as Joan has said. They speak a lot and they preach a lot of peace, but in contrary to what they do. Yes, we don't say that every policeman is brutal. We don't say that all men in uniform are bad, just that as it is, not that every civilian is that good. We know there are some bad characters that need to be handled, but also handled in a rightful way, handled in a respectful way, handled in a lawful way. You don't just manhandle, you don't beat journalists because you've tried to guide them not to capture something that is considered illegal. You don't beat civilians, you don't beat public servants. Right now, we've just received clips from the honorable members, Honorable Chiaga Hillary, who was abducted yesterday. He was put in a drone. They were heavily beaten and was dumped at Chirudu, near Chirudu Hospital at 1 a.m. Honorable Kawempe North, they did the same. Honorable the mayor for Chengera, Honorable Walukaga, the mayor of Walukaga, he was dumped at, I think it was Express at around 3 a.m. So there's no any way you can justify that these were arrests or these were done to control, to prevent any situation we anticipated as police. And the deployments. On the observation, that's when I will speak about the deployments as well. Yes, yesterday, I think as early as 5 were in the field, were trying to see and ensure that no box comes with pre-ticked ballots. No box comes when it's open. We wanted to ensure that at every polling station we were entitled to protect or to observe the ongoing exercise. We had to be there on time. By 5, we were at Mpere Primary School because I was in charge of that polling station. It had 6 stations inside that had to be counted, and they had to look around to like 6 stations where the polling had to take place. So the deployment itself motivated the low turn for the voters. The deployment was heavy and it was not called for. This was an election. a by-election that is very peaceful, that we have been preaching about, that everyone was prepared about. We never anticipated to see the military goons. I would say goons because they had no numbers, they had no names, they had masks, but they were masked, but putting on a military attire. They were putting on our national uniform, the army's uniform. But you could not identify neither the commandant or these that are moving with him. But they condoned on the place. They took over control. Everyone was scared. And up to when the electoral officers came, that they tried to invite the first 10 persons to confirm that each box is not tampered with and the material that has come is right for that polling station. That's when they tried to leave a few, like 2 or 3. Then also they brought in the FFU and these other policemen. Yes, we don't need protection, especially in such exercises. But to what extent? Why would you bring out the members? For what? This is an election. Why would you bring drones? You bring people, soldiers, UPDF soldiers trained, moving on motorcycles with electric cables, hitting everyone. And you're saying that you're anticipating maybe there could be chaos. It was, by the way, someone said this, and it was the rightful observation. The major insecurity that we faced yesterday was insecurity from those that are meant to ensure that people are secure. The security forces. It is them that created the major fear and insecurity. So where I was, they tried, of course, and I was so disappointed. I'm not yet relieved, and I'm not yet that. Yes, I'm happy we got the victory, but I'm so disappointed, and I know in the near time we shall address this as the national unity platform, but also as members of parliament and people who are concerned about this, our country. The police station at Imperial, it is called the A2KAS. I was at that polling station from the time of counting up to the time of declaration. Nambi, the NRM candidate, got 39 votes. Elias Luimbaz got 97 votes. I moved with the vehicles that brought the votes to Makerere University up to the Eastern Gate, where we were stopped and we were not allowed to enter. But I moved with the vehicles supervising them from Makerere and up to where we reached at Makerere Eastern Gate. I was so shocked and surprised when they read that Nambi got 700 votes at that polling station. 700 votes, and Luimbaz Narukola had 47. I don't know if it was.
Is that true?
I have the DR forms scanned in my phone real time. That's why the moment he read it, I went on my X and I put it. I screenshot the documents because I have all the DR forms, all of them. And it is me who got these 6 DR forms. So when they read this polling station and they gave Nabi 700, and they had to even to remove 50 from Narukola to give him 47. I was so shocked. And I took a screenshot and I put it out to the people on Twitter, and it had to circulate around. And I think this was something meant to break or to create something that we can normalize on. Because when those that were inside the Tariff Center tried to question it, you saw how the EC officer reacted. He called them to verify. When they went to verify, he now turned off. He was like, no, I cannot do this anymore. So you decide you either move out or we proceed. And he read another polling station. You know, this is a tactic because you have to listen to the next readings. If you insist on this, that means they will read the others and they will add up those ones and they will just go with the figures they want. So when they decided, maybe we shall revisit it later on. We can say it and we put it there. We shall revisit. Then they tried to rush and to read other results, and they wanted to give other figures. But I was so shocked when they declared Narukola. I can say this because according to the polling station where I was, and I protected, and I moved with the vehicles that brought the ballots. When I saw this, and it was among the first It was around mid of the process. When I saw this, I thought these guys have just gone on to vulgarize the process and take it to the way they want it. So there is a lot of brutality that was experienced and observed yesterday. We saw vote rigging. Some polling stations were unable to be captured. The records were not got, and the DR forms were not got, and also the EC declared them already to us those results. Meaning, even themselves, they do recognize this. And it is sad that the people that motivated these violent acts are government officials. At least for Kazo Angola, at least for the chaos at Imbogo, for the chaos that happened at there's a bright spark. It was near Perere. Everything was motivated by officials because these people, for example, where I was, they brought this RDC from Bukoma Simbi. There's some man from Bukoma Simbi. Then he came with around 20 young men, thugs. I can say thugs because they were in casual clothes, but having stuff in their jumpers. And we had stopped the voting exercise, and they wanted to enter by force. They wanted us to confront them so that they can create a scene, just as it happened elsewhere. So we tried to handle the process. We spoke to the EC persons who were there. We spoke to the security or the OC for Namere. The OC for Namere is a very good man, I can say, because he tried to act professional. He told these guys, you'll never create this case in my place. I urge you to move away. And he called the policemen, not the military. The military was there, but he never wanted them even to enter into his area of operation. And he called his subordinates and told them, you know what? Let us get these people off the field. And they moved away, and the exercise moved smooth. But elsewhere where we saw the chaos, we saw the beating of journalists, we saw the beating of civilians, the beating of EC officials, the military critiquing ballots. There's some video clip that is moving. We saw the kicking of the ballot boxes and leaving the ballots in open space. I doubt if that signifies the democracy we speak about or these people preach about. I know.
So, Honorable, if you allow me, because look, the things you mentioned are very many and a high magnitude, very powerful things. If you talk about ferrying of goons from wherever, when you talk about RDCs coming in to influence what is happening, when you talk about that particular incident of changing the number of votes from 39 to 797 things, those are very big things you're talking about, and they could easily influence the outcome of the election. So as we move forward, we're heading into 2026. How are we going to get out of this particular situation and make sure we have a better election in 2026? Yes, Honorable.
I know, this is a process. Elections is a process. And this is a process where very many institutions be at play. So, first of all, Ugandan institutions must have broken and made the play in the favor of one individual or those in power. It has been it has been happening since way back. Most of the people, when they get into power, what they want to first control are the institutions. I know we would have called for electoral reforms just as far as I don't know how many years back, and we've been wanting this. But even the current laws that are available, do they give the UPDF the mandate to go on and unleash a lot of brutality to civilians? To what extent is the UPDF limited in its participation in elections? The current laws, if they are observed, if they are respected, they can create a free and fair election that can favor maybe further amendments and developments to make a very clear and a very good law for the people of a country or our country, Uganda. But when you look at the current laws, they have been taken into one's hand. It is only one person that determines who should do what they should do. It is the president that determines when to deploy UPDF. It is the president that determines when to condone and maybe to take control over the media and take control over which sector or institution. So I think as we are heading to the 2026 polls, we must mobilize our people. We must mobilize our people to turn out and vote massively. One of the challenges that we witnessed yesterday was the low turn. The voters never turned up because Kawempe, a constituency that has over 100,000 voters, we can't be having these thousands, the 30s. We are not even quarter of the total voters that had to turn up to vote. Yes, we might understand the situation. It was under very violent situations and intimidation. But as people who love our country, yesterday we stood firm. We voted, we protected, and we had to demand for our victory. That should be the voice that is going to move across the country. Wherever we are, wherever you are, it will not cost us if we stand on what is right and to defend and to demand for what belongs to us. I know this is just the beginning. It was just an eye-opener of what they can do to the people. It was just a snapshot of what they are keeping and preparing for the coming elections. But also what the people of Kawempe did is a testimony that we can stand, we can be firm, we can be strong and overcome any intimidations, any arrests, any brutality, any kidnaps, any killings. Because elections have been violent of late. Elections, we've seen abductions, we've seen killings, we have seen kidnaps, we have seen arrests. But that is not something that we are going to just speak about and end. We have to end it by changing leadership, because all the actions that do transpire in these processes are commanded by someone whose major interest is on how he can retain and hold power of this, our country, irrespective of his capacity to serve anymore or his capacity to give it a development for a progressive future. We are looking at someone who is even in his evenings, he sees no potential. Not even the Nimrods that have been speaking, not even the Tango Doys, not even the prime ministers, not even his own ministers. He sees no one with the capacity to even stand in a day to take this country to a better place, to take this country to a better future. As I conclude, because I think it is about time, but you see,
yes, please.
when Nimrod was submitting, he spoke about the freedoms that we have, and he had to quote the neighboring countries. Yes, we can also bring out the peaceful neighboring countries. Is he the man in there? Let me tell you, the moment we realize and we wake up to the reality that our freedoms are not a luxury and someone is not helping us, but it is a fundamental right. You have a right to own that. You have a right to be respected. You have a right not to be brutalized. You have a right to access fair services and good services as someone who contributes to the national development of this, our country. That's when we shall demand accountability from leaders without putting in that, no, you know what, I belong to this party, then I should hold back. I should not speak about this because the chairperson of this party is my person and I subscribe to this party. We always have to speak to the reality and to the love, the patronage of, we should love the country. We should be patriotic about our country. That's why sometimes I do admire and be very proud of the party that I stand in and represent, because it has tried to even exercise internal democracy where we check ourselves. You will never find these Nimrods, the young men in the party that we expected maybe to have a second thought, because they know when you look at even if they are pushed to the max, the NRM is surviving on the chairperson's position or life. The moment he leaves office, there is no one that has it at heart. So Nimrods could be smart to rethink and secure a future that could create time and will and
Thank you, Honorable. Unfortunately, I have to cut you short.
Yes.
Our time is really off, and it's the connection is going to disconnect automatically in the next about 1 minute. So kindly, if you can just say goodbye and.
Okay, Philip, I'm just glad that you give me this time, and I do appreciate it. I want to thank those that are on this platform. I want to thank Joan. I pray that you don't lose hope, sister. We should push this, and I believe one day we shall give Uganda a true picture of leadership and a true picture of loving a country, being patriotic about your country, where we front country ideas and agendas, not personal or selfish interests. And I pray that these platforms do create the link to bridge the gaps that are created maybe by the politics that divides us, but also to create the chance to reflect on the future of our country and to love and respect the ideas that do take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Frank Kabuye, Kassanda South MP under the National Unity Platform. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Nimrod Kakai from the NRM, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Ssemanda, Ibra, Wasswa, thank you so much for joining us and for your amazing thoughts. Joan Butuuke, thank you so much for your thoughts and for joining the conversation. And Mr. Walid Lubega, Mulindwa, thank you so much for your thoughts and for joining the conversation. And indeed, to the Center for Constitutional Governance, the technical team, and all other partners of this show and the wider Civic Space TV, we thank you so much for keeping with us and always supporting the work we do. From us, we say good evening, and may you have freedom always.